Hey everyone, this is Steve with Collider, and we are here at our Sundance studio. I want to give the only reason we get to be here is because of sponsors, because it costs a lot of money to be here, and I really want to give a sincere thank you to Filmio for being our sponsor this year. And if you're not familiar with them, Filmio is shattering barriers by placing the power to greenlight films in the hands of creators and fans, and you can learn a lot more about them by visiting film.io. I really sincerely thank you. But now let's talk about Between the Temples. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Did you guys read any of your reviews, or did you not? Because the reviews have been pretty effing good.
They're lovely. I mean, it's just it's lovely to come here with a movie and actually get the feedback you'd hope for.
Oh boy, that's so great. I didn't read them, but I'm really happy, especially for our director.
Right? Am I wrong? And I could be wrong about this. Did you submit a ton of movies to Sundance,
Yeah.
and this is the first one that got in?
This is my 14th time submitting something here.
Really true?
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yeah. They finally, they said when they called me, they said they were breaking their annual tradition of rejecting my movies. So
That's so cool.
I hate saying this, but no one watching this interview will have seen the movie yet, or maybe one person. So do you want to bite the bullet and give the log line what it's about?
I think Robert Smigel is very good at this.
Just used to my agent saying, we need a log line for your project. Oh boy. It's about Jason plays a recently widowed cantor who kind of feels lost and kind of drops out of of the synagogue, and he's under a lot of pressure from different sides of what to do with his life, maybe to find a different an age appropriate. Okay, whatever. I'm giving away too much. He ultimately he connects with a woman who wants to be bat mitzvahed, who's not 13, who's slightly older, and they connect, and they kind of figure out a lot of things together, and it says a lot of beautiful things about figuring out your next chapter in life, and also it says beautiful things about religion at its essence, what makes religion useful and beautiful in its own way.
Would anyone else like to add to that, or is that the perfect description?
I thought he killed it.
Yeah, you killed it.
Great.
My agent would say it needs to be shorter.
Never listen to your agent.
For the cast, I'm sure you guys read a bunch of scripts, or you've read a bunch of scripts. So what was it about this one that said, "Oh, I need to do this"?
Well, I thought the story was instantly, for whatever reason, I don't know, it was a gut feeling that these people who were at this point in their lives where they were having trouble moving forward, having trouble going backward, having trouble moving through time, really, and had kind of lost their faith in all things, especially themselves, and that you come to feel a new life and a new energy if you just keep pushing through and asking questions. But the way that Nathan did it, I just thought it was a really nice thing to read that day. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard from Nathan, and Nathan told me the story, and then I guess we all, the three of us, had a Zoom together, and I met Jason and Nathan on the Zoom, and I have to say that I have always hoped that I would get to work with Jason, because I just think he's just an extraordinary actor, and have come to know that he is an even more extraordinary person. And so the story was just fascinating and a gift to me as a person who's not 13 to have a lovely three-dimensional character to play and a character that connects so strongly with this other human being that's sort of an unlikely but essential connection for her and her life. And as Robert was saying, it's about a lot of people also starting over. And the suggestion that can happen at any time, any age, any time, anywhere, with some faith and support and connection. So anyway, I'm Robert, your agent would be really mad at me. That was really too long.
What was it about the script for you?
Well, Nathan and I actually lived together for like a year, like 8 years ago. So I've wanted to work with him for a long time, and have an immense amount of faith in him and his unique, wonderful sensibility. And the script just like moved me and made me laugh when I first read it. And like, it was just good. I mean, for lack of a better word, it was wonderful. It, like,
How much does Nathan pay you to say this?
honestly, not enough. Yeah, no, he just has such a dark, like mischievous kind of sense of humor, but also like a real warmth that you can feel in the movie, I think.
Okay. One of the things I read in a lot of the reviews that people commended you on are people are doing things and saying things that are unexpected. And so I'm curious, talk a little bit about in the writing process, is that a deliberate thing to sort of shock and awe the audience or keep things on their toes? And how much was it found on set versus all just in the script?
So Chris, my co-writer, and I, we wrote a scriptment, which is, it reads like a novella. It where the dialogue is not separated out the way it traditionally is in your standard script. So we then script the dialogue a couple days before we shoot the scenes as we're moving through the production, and the actors don't have time to necessarily memorize all the written lines. So we edit while we're shooting, and we find the scenes as we're making the movie, which kind of gives it a vitality that I think it needs, because it's like a take on a screwball comedy, really. Like, this person who's stuck is unstuck by someone who's a much freer spirit, And I think there's something about that we wanted to give it like a freewheeling sense of, like, a freewheeling sensibility, but also, I mean, it's very written, and yet, like, you kind of, it's just the blueprint, really, because a film is not a piece of literature. It's its own form, and you just have to give into that.
Well, it's so fascinating to me that there is no right or wrong way to make a movie, because I've spoken to so many actors and directors, and the process for so many people are so different. But I am curious, when you're doing it in the structure you're describing, do you try to film the scenes in order to maintain, or are you filming out of order and then it's even more complicated?
We're filming out of order.
Yeah, my God.
So it adds to the chaos, which I think is essential. That's the essential ingredient, is to have a sense of life on set. So I'm going to ask this of the cast. When you are in an environment where you might not be getting the dialogue until, I don't know, maybe the day before or 2 days before, is it a process that you enjoy, or are you out of your effing minds trying to figure things out and always on your toes?
All of the above, I would say. It's somewhat terrifying not to have a more solid blueprint, because I'm used to that. And as Madeleine was saying, she comes from the theater background, as do I, and you rehearse for so long, and you memorize your lines so solidly, and it's all about that, the rehearsal. And so it's a kind of a big leap of faith to just get there and hope to fly together. But it's also very exciting and freeing that anything goes in a sense, because it'll all get like we'll do a take, and then Nathan will say, no, I like this, and I didn't like that, and blah, 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 and we'll do it again, and it's invigorating, creative.
Does anyone else want to add?
I mean, everything Carol said is absolutely spot on, and I also think that I had spoken to Nathan so early on in the evolution of this. I mean, at least it was. I spoke to him right at the beginning of it, from my perspective. Yes. And so we had, and he really, Nathan was so great at just being this constant in my life for this year, and staying, and we're going to make this movie, and we're going to do this. And so it was always alive. And so I do feel like we had a lot of time to free associate and to leading up to it that you typically don't have. And so I feel like even though maybe some of the line, you are figuring them out on the fly, I felt that I felt safe though, because all of the other stuff had been fertilized, in my opinion. I mean, like, you know what I mean? And I think, but Carol, and Maddie and Carol both said, like, it's this faith in Nathan. I think that's the ultimate thing, is that's why collaborating is so wonderful, and you pick the people that you work with for a reason. And this is every day on set, I was like, this is the only way to make a movie. It's fun that way.
I was just excited to be in a movie. No, I'm mostly a comedy writer, but I'll say this: being a writer and sometimes director, and all the times control freak, I had a certain empathy when I work in a movie as an actor. And maybe I go too far that way. I just want to make the director happy. That's that's all I'm focused on. And I've done movies with different process. Like Noah Baumbach, I was in Marriage Story, and he didn't want a word changed, And then there's other people like Apatow who they're shouting jokes from behind the camera. And Nathan's was his own process. It was essentially scripted in its own way. Like he said, first it read as a book, and then it kind of, but then there's dialogue the day of, but it's flexible. And, for me, that was, it just made it easier for me rather than harder, because, I'm not used to memorizing lines in the first place, and sort of just capturing the essence of the scene was, made it easier for me as an actor too, quote unquote actor.
Can I add one more thing to what he's saying? Is that I also feel like oh my God, I forgot what I was going to say. Shoot.
Stop tape.
Hold on. I'll tell you one thing. One of the things I was going to say is like that, when you, if you're working with a certain type of like material or like cereal or, milk, there's an amount of time that something has to cure. And that was part of the process of doing this, was like, this is a quick curing resin. Like we once we get to the set, this is how much time we've got, and before it dries. And I like that. And I also will just add that, though it's hard, I will also say for the whole crew, it was like that in a great way. So it makes everybody have to be, like Sean Price Williams, our cinematographer, he's in there with us, the camera, and he's moving it around, and he's also responding to what he's in the same flow of how Nathan wished to make the film, and every department is in that way. There's kind of like every department really is like the same department, and it's all about like helping the other one and doing it because you signed up to do it because you knew it was something worth doing.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever worked with a more invested crew.
Yeah.
They were incredible.
Because I don't have that much more time with you guys, I want to throw in some questions to be answered quickly. They're like some curveballs, if you will. This is for the cast and for you. If someone has never seen anything you've done before, what is the first thing you'd like them watching and why? Or someone has never seen anything you've directed before.
This movie.
I kind of figured that was the answer.
I would kind of say the Sandler movie that I just did, the Leo animated cartoon, because it's funny, but it also has a message that I'm proud of. I'm not going to get into it here.
Also, Leo is fantastic.
Thank you. Thank
Can
you.
that be the movie that I would want people to see?
Yes.
Can I just say,
But if you also want to say something you've done.
I'm proud to be here, and I think that this movie is like a real reflection of where we all were at that time. And so I'm currently, I would say this.
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna say that I can't choose this one. I'm making that rule for myself. Okay,
I did that
okay?
for myself too,
Great.
by the way, just for the record.
Okay, I'll say Beach Rats.
Okay.
Just here in 2017. Yeah.
I'm going to say 2 because I'm old enough to get 2.
That sounds great.
Okay, I'm going to say this movie because this is where we are right now, and I'm very, very proud and grateful to be in it. And I think maybe I'll say Hester Street just because sort of a very incredible role and experience and black and white and, interesting.
It's a huge influence on I mean, Joan Micklin Silver is
my God,
the
that's
movie's
so
dedicated
great.
to her at the end.
Is it?
Yeah,
I
the
didn't-
initials, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
JMS.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so
I mean,
great. I didn't know
her
that.
spirit is
I did not
yeah,
know
the sense of
that.
comedy and humanity that she imbues in all of her films. I mean, just
That's great.
yeah.
For everyone, you've all done different things. What is the most nervous you've been the night before the first day of filming something? I know
This movie for me.
for real.
Yeah.
Was it like one of the? Can you explain what was in your head like that night before?
Well, I got into a car accident the night before. So
Yeah.
that definitely was part of it. I was fine. No, I mean, I think just
Well,
not
you just
having
had your license too.
yeah, the year before, so I get some generosity in assumptions about my driving now. But no, I think just not having the whole text and script, like, just the amount of trust and like not being able to really like deeply like arc
Sure.
your story because you don't know what's gonna scary but fun.
Again, I'm old enough to get 2.
Yeah, yes,
Sure.
I'm going to say carnal knowledge because it was my first role in a movie, and it was Mike Nichols and Jack Nicholson and Jules Pfeiffer and Artie Garfunkel, all those people, and it was just terrifying because I'd never had a real part in a movie before, and it was Mike, so lucky. And then secondly, I would say Annie Hall because I think I was, just so like Robert was saying, I just wanted to please Woody so much and I had no idea how to do it. So I was terrified.
Did he? I just have to ask how much feedback did he give you while you were doing it?
Not a lot. No, not a lot. I mean, I think if he didn't like something, I would have heard. But I didn't get a lot, but I was so anxious to please and so oblivious as to how.
Carnal knowledge, I love when Jack Nicholson says, "I'm taken by me."
Yeah. Oh,
That's a great fight scene. She goes, "I want you. I'm taken by me." That's so sad. That scene. It's incredible. I mean, again, I try to have a bit of amnesia, so I would say the night before this, and all nights before this, I'm excited, but there is it's scary because everyone here who's there with you has left some other part of their life to be there, and their time is valuable, and so my feeling too is like I'm nervous because I want to make everyone feel like it was worth not seeing their child for a few weeks or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
I feel like there's a lot, like you want it to be that way. It's so you just don't want to show up and the person's watching you work and they're like, this is why I'm not going to be at the Tooth Fairy thing.
I'm just going to talk about a different kind of fear, which is playing Triumph the Insult Comic Dog and going to, and not wanting to, woo, thank you.
He's the best.
Shout out. Anyway, so you just don't want to get the shit kicked out of you. Like sometimes you go to these things, like I went to the Donald Trump inauguration, and I got, a couple of people got in my face, and I wasn't really being particularly harsh, like biker guy, and a couple of people like aggressively took Triumph cigar and like crushed it in front of me, like so. And then I was really scared. The next year for Colbert, I covered Ted Cruz's candidacy for Senate, and I was going down to Texas, and I just was a little paranoid. But once I got there, people are just people. They're just gathered for these events, and it was pretty cool. And I actually got to meet Ted Cruz and make him look bad. So.
Sir, I really mean this.
Nah, he was a good sport. I got it.
No, but I really do think you're fearless in terms of putting yourself out there with Triumph. I really do.
I'm occasionally fearful.
What's the most nervous you've been before the first day of filming something?
It's not even it's usually the last day. I'm nervous the night before the last day of the shoot because I fear that something horrible will happen. Like an accident, or I'll be prevented from filming, then we won't have the movie. So that's always a sleepless night.
We should just never tell you what the last day is.
Exactly.
I will tell you afterwards. Like, by the way, that's a wrap on the movie. That was it. That was the last one.
Soft applause.
I have a million other questions, but you need to go do other interviews. So I'm just going to say, really, congratulations on the reaction here at Sundance for the film. Is it for sale or is it?
It's for sale. Yeah.
Have there been any conversations last night?
I have to keep mum.
I understand. Listen, I'm confident that this is going to be what I call purchased / sold, especially based on the reviews. And I really want to say thank you for you guys for coming in. And I really want to give, again, a huge thank you to Filmio for being our sponsor and allowing us to be here at Sundance. Thank you guys so much and have a fantastic Sundance.
Thanks for letting us come here and talk about our movie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.